A federal judge has temporarily blocked U.S. President Donald Trump's administration from deploying National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon, escalating a growing legal clash over the president's authority to send troops into Democratic-led cities without state approval. The ruling by U.S. District Judge Karen Immergut came after the administration attempted to reassign troops from Texas and California to Portland just days after the same court rejected Trump's order to federalize Oregon's own National Guard. Oregon and California filed suits against the move, arguing it has violated state sovereignty. Judge Immergut agreed, saying there was no evidence that the protests in Portland warranted federalized forces. The temporary restraining order will remain in place until at least October 19th. In a parallel case, Illinois and the city of Chicago have also sued to block planned deployment of National Guard troops. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker branded the move Trump's invasion, warning it would incite protests. The Trump administration insists the president has the legal right to call up the Guard to curb what he describes as out-of-control crime and to protect federal personnel. White House officials say they will appeal against the rulings. The court decisions are the latest in a series of legal setbacks over Trump's use of the National Guard in U.S. cities. Faced with resistance from states and federal courts, Trump has warned he may invoke the Insurrection Act, a seldom used law permitting U.S. military deployments inside of the country. Now we move on. According to a memo circulated by the White House, furloughed workers might not be eligible for back pay after the government shutdown. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that while the administration has a keen interest in taking care of its employees, there are some people that do not deserve to be taken care of. Now, we are joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, what more can you tell us about this evolving situation in U.S.?
Anyway, a Republican seeks a small government, and it is true. But in case of the Trump administration, Trump administration pushing this policy very strongly, I think. And so that's why many workers need to leave from work. But the problem is work itself is, there are some certain levels of work itself need to continue. So that's why the shortage of the worker is a problem. And the shortage of the budget is also a problem because there is a conflict in the U.S. Parliament. So that's why the Trump administration is facing how to deal with the situation, I think.
Thank you very much, Dr. Satoru, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now we stay in North America. According to a memo circulated by the White House, furloughed workers might not be eligible for back pay after the government shutdown. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that while the administration has a keen interest in taking care of its employees, there are some people that do not deserve to be taken care of. A memo appears to contravene the 2019 Government Employee Fair Treatment Act signed by President Trump during his first term after a partial shutdown that stretched over 35 days. Speaker Mike Johnson, who voted for the 2019 law guaranteeing back pay, has said that there will be a lot of discussion about the memo and that he hopes the furloughed workers will receive back pay. Meanwhile, according to the Federal Aviation Administration, as the U.S. government shutdown reaches its 7th day, air traffic control staffing issues are delaying flights at several U.S. airports, including Denver, Newark, and Las Vegas. Some 13,000 air traffic controllers and about 50,000 Transportation Security Administration officers must still turn up for work during the government shutdown, but they are not being paid. Controllers are set to receive a partial paycheck on October 14th for work performed before the shutdown. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Doctor, for staying with us. Now, how might this White House's memo stating that furloughed workers may not be eligible for back pay conflict with the previous Trump administration's 1.0's the memo that has gone ahead, the 2019 Government Employee Fair Treatment Act, and what potential legal challenges could arise from this decision?
Anyway, currently the government do not have the money, so that is a reality, I think. So that's why they do not want to pay because there is no money. That is the current situation the U.S. government is facing because of the budget plan is not going through in the Senate. That is one of the reason. And another reason is, of course, anyway, U.S. Want to relocate their money and other resources to the different policy, which is, of course, to compete with China, or how to rise in the military industry, or other things, many things they need to do. So compared with the Biden's age, they need to relocate a huge budget. So under such kind of situation, United States need to save the money in the other area, and there is no money in this case. So that is the reason they try to save the money, and there is no money to pay for this purpose. That is the situation U.S. government is facing, I think.
And are there any potential legal challenges that could arise from this decision?
Of course it will, I think. So even if there is no money and there is a reason which is no money, of course these workers have the right to receive the money. So that's why there's a high possibility that it will be in the court. And so in the long run, anyway, the U.S. government need to pay. That will happen. But just now they do not have the money.
And what are the political implications of President Trump's statement that some employees do not deserve to be taken care of?
It rely on their work, and they need to prove both sides in this case, and the government side need to prove this worker is not eligible, but the worker side need to prove they are eligible. That is fighting the court in the near future. But the other reason the U.S. government do not want to pay is indeed lacking the money is a matter for the U.S. government, I guess.
And how could this ongoing government shutdown and its impact on essential workers, like air traffic controllers and TSA officials, affect public perception of federal government's handling of labor rights?
Anyway, in the near future, for the essential workers, the United States government will pay, I think. But because this is just a sign, this is not a formal decision, and the essential worker is anyway needed, and the long-term contract is needed. So in this case, they try to keep this essential worker. But essential workers range. Definition of the essential worker is changeable, so that's why the bill from the Trump administration definition of the illegal worker rely on how much money they can use.
With that, I would like to thank Dr. Satoru Nagao for joining us and sharing that insight throughout both our news on North America.